Welcome to Dad-ime, Dad Anime Club, Episode 4, the show where three nerdy-ass dads try to reclaim our anime cred one season at a time. On today's episode, we are going to discover our favorite anime side piece, plus we have our discussion on Episode 3 of the shows that we picked this season, which are To Be Hero X, Sword of the Demon Hunter, Kowloon Generic Romance, and Fire Force Season 3. So you could think of the show like a book club, but for seasonal anime. So if you're sneaking anime on your lunch break on the treadmill after the kids go to bed, then you're definitely in the right place, because that's all of us too. So I'm your host, Dallin, the dad in the unicorn shirt. And with me are two other dads that round out this panel of otakus. We've got the manga lover, Tyler. How's it going?
Going great.
Good to have you back. We've had some awesome discussions the last couple weeks, and we're happy to have back our other otaku on this panel, Preston. How's it going, man?
Doing good. Refreshed. I finally got my hearing back after the concert, so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, Preston didn't make it last time because he was jamming out, doing his metal stuff over there.
Memphis Mayfire.
That's so awesome. How was it? Was it a good show?
Loud and packed. It was a sold out show, and it was like literally for 2 days. I decided I'm too old for it now because my ears were just ringing for the next 3 days.
Yeah, I started taking stuff to help my ears at concerts. It's way better. You don't go home with the huge ringing.
Yeah, but you still go home with the sore knees from all the jumping.
And the hurt back, and just like, I can't headbang anymore.
I'm just glad to have you guys back on. So let's jump into our discussion on anime side pieces. And what I mean by that is the shows that we're watching on the side, obviously, because we're all faithful married men who are dads. And so that's all I'm talking about, clearly.
I cheat on my wife with anime. Like, that's...
Yeah.
She's like, don't watch Kowloon without me.
You're like, I already did. Oh, perfect. So who wants to go first? What are we watching on the side? And it doesn't even have to be from this season. Like, if you're watching something classic or retro, that's cool too.
I'm super excited because I think you saw my face in the first episode. If you were watching, we were putting out like things that were like honorable mentions. Witch Watch was an honorable mention. And my wife, again, she's just barely getting into the anime, and so we're just trying to find stuff that she'll watch with me. And so we put on Witch Watch, and oh my god, is it a comedy special? It is such a good time. So if you're just looking for a thing to do or to watch on the side that's funny, enjoyable, not a lot at stake, but it's a good story, Witch Watch. And when she goes to school for the first time, oh my gosh, is it funny. They are making left and right anime references the whole time.
Nice.
Now, like Hunter x Hunter, if you've ever seen that, you've got Gon Freeze, right? He's the main character. That's in there. They're making references to that. They're doing Dragon Ball Z jokes. Like, if you like other animes, it's funny to watch another anime reference what is considered some of the most popular animes ever.
Nice. I love that. I love when shows get a little meta. That's fun.
It was great. It was like Assassination Classroom level, or kind of like mob like level funny to me. Like, it was just kind of silly. It was enjoyable.
So for those who don't know what Witch Watch is, give just like a brief synopsis. So what's going on in this show? So
when you read the synopsis, it doesn't sound like it sounds really cheesy. So anytime I try to explain anime to someone, it's really hard. But you have a witch who is born in a modern Japan, right? And so she's not going to be, she needs a familiar. And her familiar is going to be the boy she grew up with. So this is like young kids making that like forever promise that they're going to be together when they get older. But here's the thing you don't know when they make that promise. The boy is a descendant of an ogre, and ogres used to be witches' familiars. So he has superhuman strength. Nice. She's a witch, and her goal is to help people with her magic, and it just turns into funny moments. So he's just sitting there in class, just trying to listen to the teacher. She's over here like, I'm gonna get his attention. There's some sexual innuendos, and then she has to spell at him, and then she misses. It hits the top of his head, and if you've ever seen towards the end of Hunter x Hunter, where his hair just goes straight up and he becomes adult gone, that's what you see, and it is hilarious. I'm a teacher, so I'm sitting there watching this teacher teach, and she's at the front of the room watching this happen. And I'm like, I've been there. Just watching some crazy stuff happen that none of the other kids see.
You're like, if I point it out, it's going to be more disruptive than if I just ignore it.
Exactly, 100%. And she's just like in her head exploding because she's a secret closet anime nerd. So I feel like she should be on the podcast.
I love it.
That's
I love
awesome.
it.
Yeah.
All right, Preston, what are you watching on the side? What's got your interest?
Well, I've been hitting a couple. My Hero Academia Vigilantes. I started that one out a little bit just to see kind of what the tone was like. But the one that I've really jived with, it surprised me, was Dragon Ball Daima or
Okay,
Daima.
yeah,
Like, I love Dragon Ball Z and I love Dragon Ball, and for some reason, like it was one of those ones where like that genre, just of the kind of like fighting, and I don't know, I just kind of fell out of love with it, like just because
sure.
it felt more formulaic. But Dragon Ball Daima, it's like it takes all the charm and the silliness and whatever else I feel like of the original Dragon Ball series. So like, potty humor and
Mhm.
silly things like, and you have
Pervy
your
old men.
tropes, and yeah, like the tropes are all there, and it's just kind of fun. So that, I mean, the premise there is essentially that the Dragon Ball cast, the people who went and saved the world from Majin Buu, they all essentially get turned into children, and so it's them trying to usurp this demon king, if you will, that's caused this ruckus using the Dragon Balls, and trying to unfurl it while they're all in these more adolescent states. So
Mm.
again, that comes where the potty humor comes in of like, hey, I can't hold it, I gotta poop. Like, where do you have any toilet paper? And then like those kind of
Yeah,
things. It's just silly. So
nice.
I've enjoyed it. How about you?
I
I feel like there's
believe
a
that
joke
was.
there.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sure. I believe that was Toriyama's last thing that he was involved with Dragon Ball. So that makes it kind of extra special knowing like his hands were involved with that project. So you might be, that's the last thing we get from him. So that's
You
kind of
get
cool.
that charm. It feels like coming home. Cool.
So
Yeah.
like it's funny because like when you're saying like, oh, they're gonna be kids and like and they get turned into children, I'm like, oh gosh, it's gonna be another Dragon Ball GT. And the way you're describing it as like a second chance at Dragon Ball, which for a lot of us who start with Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z, like Dragon Ball's close to my heart. Like it's just like it's something I even don't want to go rewatch because I grew up watching it. I just want to keep that nostalgia like packed
Yeah.
away.
Yeah,
You down? What you
this
watching?
might be controversial, but watching Dragon Ball, and I haven't finished Z all the way, but
Yeah.
I think I like the OG Dragon Ball just a little bit better. Like there's just a little more of that like adventure and like
Mhm.
whimsy, and Z is more like, the fighting and the
Yeah.
power-ups and the leveling up, which is still really awesome, but I think the OG
Whimsy.
Dragon Ball
Yeah.
just kind of nailed that like charm just a little
Yeah,
bit more.
it's like I wish for like an immortality, but I get panties versus like power level
Yeah.
9,000. I want to be the strongest in the universe for the next 5 seasons, right? Like one of them has that, like what you said, that charm, and the other one has like it's cool though. Like when Vegeta goes up against Cell, that's
Yeah.
freaking cool.
Well,
Yeah,
When
like
when
the
Goku
badassness
cuts,
of it all is
yeah,
out of 10.
the
Yeah.
Spirit Bomb at the end of the Namek saga, fucking awesome.
Well,
Love
and
it.
I think that's
Right?
what they do great with the Dragon Ball Daima. Like they take those two worlds where you have those cool fight scenes, and then you have that charm, and like they when they call the dragon comes out, and he's like, you get 3 wishes, right? And then the other guy calls him out, and he's like, you get 1 wish, and he's like, wait, what? How come I don't get 1 wish? And he says, you're not a regular. Like those kind of
Nice.
just, it's the small charm, like
Yeah.
that exactly what Dragon Ball I feel like
I
embodied.
feel like you hooked me on this one. I kind of want to go watch it now. So like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, you should
good.
try it out. I was
Solid.
skeptical.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's what I feel. I'm a little skeptical.
Very solid. All right. So for my first side piece show that I've been watching, I actually finished. It's based on a video game. It's on Netflix. We talked about it earlier as one of our runner-up shows, and that is Devil May Cry. And I finished that.
So good.
It's from the people who created Castlevania. So if that gives you any indication as to whether you're gonna like it or not, like if you like Castlevania, you're definitely gonna like this. It takes what that kind of did and then just cranks it to an 11. And you're trading your swords and stuff for guns and demons instead of swords and vampires. So it's pretty similar, like, but future urban setting based on the game. And man, is it just like edgy beyond belief, like, but in like the best way. Like they're in on the joke, you know what I mean? Like there's nothing better than that. The violence is like insane at an 11 all the time.
Yeah.
Almost comical, like John Wick-esque, like where it's
Mhm.
just it eventually just gets funny. Yeah, I had a really good time with it, and the last couple of episodes are just bangers. And there's this one episode too, like right in the middle. I'm not going to get into spoilers or anything, but it just completely flips animation style on its head, does basically a silent film, and tells you so much
Beautiful stuff.
backstory, and it's just amazing that they were even able to, like, one, like take a chance on doing an episode like that, and then two, executing it that well.
Well, and I think like we have more like art coming into the anime, like where we're really like processing like sound and storytelling, because when you type like Fear in like Beyond Journey's End, it has so much quiet like non-verbal communication of story.
Yeah.
Right. And I think taking those bigger risks on shows, I think really pay dividends, because some of those are my favorite moments, is when it's just quiet and the story plays out and I am glued to those moments.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, there are faults with the show. I'll admit, like, it's pretty formulaic. You know what's going to happen. It's kind of over the top. The dialogue's a little bit bad at times. The jokes don't always land, but it's a fun ride. And like, honestly, that's all I want at the end of the day. I just want to be entertained. You know, turn off my brain, watch some anime guts and blood, and call it good.
He kind of reminded me a lot of like Trigun and what is his name, Vash the Stampede. Like he has that kind of vibe to him like, the whole way through. He's just kind of like fast and loose and like that, you know, laissez-faire.
Is he goofy like in Trigun, or like where he's like being silly but he's also really talented, or is he just like just off the cuff? Like
a little more just off the cuff, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. He knows he's good at what he does, and that's kind of his charm. Is he's like a cocky SOB, but funny, you know?
Because like I think about the video games, and I just remember scenes like motorcycles flying through the sky, hitting stuff, and like bullets flying, and then just like constant damage per second move sets.
Yeah.
So like that's what I'm imagining when I see that. Castlevania was like a twist on its head, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like it's a 2D platformer turned into this 3D masterpiece.
Yeah.
Especially the very last episode on season. Oh,
we could have whole podcast
with just the whip,
Castlevania, like, honestly. Yeah.
I think about that episode a lot, actually. Comes back to me every night.
So not to like derail the conversation, but have you guys watched Nocturne, the sequel series?
Yeah, I have, actually.
Man, the last couple episodes on that sort of rival, I think, what they were able to do with Castlevania. Not like the emotional payoff isn't quite the same, but like strictly speaking, like visual stunningness, like they took it up a notch.
I think I don't want to ruin anything, because like if you watch it, it's got a good story. Now it definitely relies on the first series that came before it for you to kind of like follow along.
Yeah.
But I think it's got a really good story, and I love the new magic system they gave the summoner. They did a really good job with that, and she's one of my favorite characters by the end. She has this incredibly good arc. Same with the main character, and I love some of like the lore. Like as a history teacher, I'm like watching it, I'm like, I love the fact they brought in the Aztec Empire. I love that they brought in the Haitian Revolution. I was just like nerding out from a whole different angle during that one. And when I was watching the first one, I was like, this is just medieval Europe. And like it's a Dracula lore. So it's like a literature part of me was like, yeah, this is cool.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Do you have any other side pieces you want to talk about? What else are you watching?
I don't want to bore people with One Piece. So
So One Piece is back. So how's it been?
So it's been so great. The last episode was so freaking awesome, and I know what's coming. I read One Piece and I know what's coming. But in the last episode, it's not a spoiler. Well, it is a spoiler. I can't say too much. But one of the big bosses from early on in like season 1 has finally appeared in this episode, and that's a big deal all of its own. But then Sanji just goes so great. Now, if you know anything about the show, Sanji is just a perv, right? And you know that there's like special abilities like hockey. He can sense people from a distance, and he's looking for a girl who got hit by a guy, and he could just sense her. And I was like, this is the most comical power to give this man, that he can just sense girls just in a distance. Because I know he's gonna end up alone. I feel it. Like, and I was laughing at certain parts, and then at other parts I was like, oh my god, we're finally getting the animated sequences that I've been reading, and I'm like, I cannot wait for this.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So I mean, like payoff comes this season. If you've been watching, all the way through. So there's some payoff this season and next season too. Because
That's super
Elbaf
exciting.
next season.
Nice. Oh, it's all so exciting. Like every time I want to start, and then I'm just like, that'll take
I'm
2
telling you,
years of
wait,
my
just
life.
wait. Just wait for
Let-
the One
let it
Piece
finish.
reanimation.
Yeah, that's my plan, is to just get the condensed Studio Wit version
Because
whenever that comes out.
if it's not good enough for you and you're like, okay, I want to go see the original, you'll at least have like a foundation, right?
Yeah.
And you know what you're getting into. You know, like, okay, this is important, this isn't important.
Yeah,
Elbaf
absolutely.
remind me of Elbaf's where all the giants live, right?
Yeah, that is where all the giants
Yeah.
live. And so like early on in like, I don't know, like right before Alabasta, they get stuck on an island with 2 giants. And they tell them the legends of Elbaf, which is just fable spelt backwards. And so like it's this fabled land, and it's actually, I thought it was going to be an island. It is not just an island. He upped his game on the art style on that one. So when Oda drew that one, it's not just a regular island that we're used to. It's got a mixture of Skypiea. It's got a mixture of like legend and lore. You get some return of some old characters. They don't just get there on a boat. They go through a dream. Like it's an
That's
acid
cool.
trip. It's pretty
That's cool. That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Really cool. All right, Preston, what else are you watching on the side?
I'm trying to remember the name of the one that I was watching. It's the after, what's the one? Not Arthur. The
The beginning after the end?
Really?
I started that one, but the one I actually I went further on was the one where the country bumpkin becomes a sword master.
Yeah,
Okay.
from Country Bumpkin to Master Swordsman or something
That's
like
the
that.
one. That's the
yeah,
one.
yeah.
And that one's like it's been like it's okay. He's a country bumpkin. He sits and he does a lot of training in his dojo, I guess. And as they kind of fight and do everything, he thinks of himself as like, hey, I've never beat my dad, so I'm not that good. I'm mediocre at best. But then all of his students become prodigies. And then they're all like
Nice.
worshiping him, basically, being like, we've never beat him. He's like the best of the best of the best. And it's been fun. I would put it as like more of a casual watch. It's not, so far there hasn't been anything that's been like ground shaking or but it also doesn't necessarily have all the charm that like Free Ren or Violet Evergarden or any of those kind of might have. So it's kind of in that really kind of chill zone. I put it in there.
So
Nice.
I've been like, one of the ones I've been interested on Hidive is I Parry Everything. It's got like 12
Yes.
episodes, and I'm
That's a good one.
feeling like I'm getting the
Parry.
vibe from that. Like
Yeah.
I Parry Everything. Like he's almost naive enough to not believe that he's good, but
Mhm.
everything around him is showing. Like everyone is so shocked that he's good.
Parry.
But
Parry.
like I learned everything from Masters, right? So I think I'm horrible at it. It's like and like
And he
it's-
uses the shovel. He uses
Yeah.
that giant sword that's like the strongest sword in the whatever. He's using it as a shovel. And
He's just cleaning out pipes with it.
yeah, that was a good
It's
one.
so enjoyable. Yeah, I Parry Everything is a good one to read too. I feel like if you want to watch that one, it's good. Read it either way. It's slow releases on the mangas right now, and I think it's keeping up with the show, so which is kind of frustrating.
Yeah, it grinds everything kind of down to
Like
Mhm.
Hunter x Hunter.
stop.
Oh,
Yeah, didn't they get a new volume not that long ago?
I've stopped trying.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait until I can like binge read.
Yeah.
Because I'm not getting any animation anytime soon. Hopefully,
Yeah.
I'm sad how I'm happy where it ended, but like it's not very much farther than that. Like
Nice.
How about you? What else you got?
Yeah, so my second show that I've kind of been watching on the side is because we got, High Dive for Demon Hunter, sort of the Demon Hunter. I went back and started watching Oshinoko season 2. Picked that back up. It's really good. If you liked the first season, you're just getting, I think, an elevated version of season 1. You're getting just kind of more of the same. You're uncovering that kind of dark side of the entertainment industry. You're finding out, you're getting closer to the main mystery. It's still going really slow in that regard, which is a bit frustrating, but what's going on screen is still interesting enough that you're like, okay, like I'll let them build this out. I know that's on the side and I want to get to it, but this play that they're putting on is actually really cool, and seeing like the dynamic between the mangaka who created the source material fighting with the person who created the script for the screenplay, and they're going back and forth on why they change this or why they don't change this or whatever. I find all that kind of stuff interesting. So if you like kind of the behind the scenes of like how things work in the entertainment industry, it's a good show.
I agree.
So
I agree. That kind of reminds me of what, Zenshu or Senshu?
Yeah, Zinshu, the manga one, right? Where she
Oh,
gets
the one
isekai'd.
she writes or she does animation and whatever
Yeah.
else, and she gets put into her favorite animation, and that kind of meta knowledge of like, okay, like how many frames per second they're doing, and like it's cool. It's cool to
Yeah.
see that.
Absolutely.
That's actually a really cool concept. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's our anime side pieces. Unless you guys got anything else you want to bring up, that's pretty much it that I've been watching on the side, because these 4 shows that we've got have been enough, I think.
I do want to point out some of that anime news that you dropped in the chat earlier. Why don't you go ahead and do the honors, because I'm super excited for this.
Okay, well, you guys like cooking anime, right?
Yeah.
You like anime with good food. If that sounds like you, then you'll like this too. Campfire Cooking in Another World with My Absurd Skill, or whatever it's called, is getting a season 2, and it's announced, and there's a trailer on YouTube, and it just looks so fun. Like such a calm, good, like warm-hearted show. That's like the best way
we
I
get
can
more
describe it.
Fenrir and his insatiable appetite.
Yes, and this time it looks like we're getting another little buddy to join the fun little crew, which is so silly but just awesome.
I love it.
So like I've been dying for another one of these, and my wife, well, she watched it. Like I was folding laundry and putting it on, and she would like be in the room watching it with me and be like, I'm not watching this. and that was the thing that got her, is she's like, can I get another one of these? And I'm like, well, I know Delicious in Dungeon is another one.
Yeah.
So this is, I would say, if you have someone who's trepidatious, you want to do something with your family, I absolutely love Campfire Cooking. Obviously, like most of these shows are 7+ or even older sometimes, so just keep in mind. But
I think Campfire Cooking is pretty tame as far as anime goes. There's not a lot of the kind of like pervy tropes. It's more of the like food tropes and isekai-esque tropes.
Yeah, it's like if you're cool with Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, if you're doing Dungeons and Dragons, like if you're okay with like cutting up monsters, like that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
But
and not in like a bloody, like gory way, like more like I'm preparing food.
Yeah.
Which can still, I guess, be kind of grotesque depending.
He has to give him, I think, like in this one, like he's gonna dungeon dive a little bit, and if the manga matches the season, there'll be a seafood like portion. It's all pretty enjoyable. But it's one of my favorite ones to read. It's one of my favorite ones to watch.
Makes me hungry every time. It's the worst. Like watching any anime, including Ghibli films, and they have food in it, and you're just sitting there and you're just like, you know what? I could really go for a bowl of ramen right now. I could really go for like whatever. And then my go-to, I don't now this is like a complete tangent. But for me, like when I'm watching anime and I'm having that comfort, whatever, I'll have like a comfort food. For me, it's a quesadilla. So I'll go and like just quesadilla in. I'm good to go. Do you guys have any go-tos that you like?
Nothing says anime like a quesadilla.
A quesadilla.
That's awesome. Oh, so we want to go our anime snack? Our choice?
What's your anime snack comfort food?
Man.
What's your go-to?
I try not to snack late, but it's hard because that's when I watch anime.
I gotta keep my figure
when my kids are in bed. Yeah, we got to keep our dad figures, our father.
So
figures.
to maintain the dad bod, it's ice cream. It's a bowl of ice cream. And Tillamook just put out an orange creamsicle ice cream. That stuff is amazing. Yeah. So that's my go-to when I'm like, I'm gonna sit down for a little while and watch anime. It's that. If I'm like if I'm a sugar dude, I'm a Dr. Pepper and sour candy is a big problem for me. If I'm watching the end of like a season and I'm like locking in to watch a couple episodes, I'm getting like some soda and I'm just eating sour candy because I love sour candy.
Those are good ones.
I have 2 weaknesses. One is the sour gummy worms. Yeah, gotta go with that sour candy. I love those. And like chips, just any kind of chip. Honestly, I like that the crunch. Yep. And honestly, it's okay to eat crunchy food when you're watching anime because there are subtitles, at least when I watch it. So it's okay to have that crunchy noise in your ear because you can just read anyways. You're not disturbing yourself too much.
Oh, 100%.
So, yeah.
I love that.
This is my
I love that. That's cool.
All right. Do you want to get into our main discussion, which is our seasonal watch along? We're on episode 3s, which is, I know, behind. I think at the time that we're recording this, there's episode 5s out. right
Yeah,
now,
there
maybe
are.
even 6s on a couple of them. So we're kind of slow, but we did this intentionally because we wanted at the beginning of this to be able to watch a couple to see if we liked it before we went and pitched it. So that's why we're kind of on the staggered schedule. And honestly, I've been enjoying it, kind of going more at this slower pace. It doesn't feel like a hassle to like, oh crap, I gotta cram all these shows in. It's been kind of nice to just watch them, as they air, which has been fun. So which one do you guys want to talk about first today?
For me, I'm really surprised with To Be Hero X.
All right.
I thought that the different stuff was going to be really distracting to have different art styles, and I wasn't quite sure how I was going to feel about it, especially like as much as I love Arcane and I love that art style and having it brought in, having it in another one where it's like it doesn't really take a back seat, but it's just one style of many in there.
Yeah.
I was concerned, but I've actually found that I really liked it. Like it's been interesting. Like the storyline's sometimes a little bit difficult to figure out what's going on, but I've liked it.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, let's dive in with episode 3 of 2B Hero X. So let's try and piece together some sort of kind of flow of how this episode went. So this one is called The Ever-Standing Hero, and it basically starts with Nice aiming to defeat the Ever-Standing Hero in order to rank into the top 10. So we start out with a cool like flashback scene that has like its own unique animation style again. It's kind of going with this like 60s comic book look. And it gives us the backstory of the Everstanding Man, which by the way, I think it's hilarious whenever they say Everstanding Man, he's Mr. Stando. Did you notice that? They just go Mr.
No, I didn't.
Stando. And I'm like, I want a shirt that says
Justin.
Mr. Stando so bad. Anyways.
It's pretty funny, actually. Because this is the
No,
one,
it's
the
not.
last one. This is the one that I was like last on my list to watch. It's the one that's not totally firm in my memory right now, but it's Firm Man, from my understanding, right?
Right.
That's
he
the
becomes
Ever-Standing Hero.
Man. Yep.
Yeah.
And they call him Mr. Stando, which it's just so charming. I just love it. Yeah. These are just kind of my notes as I was like going through. Firm Man explodes a dude, but it's reverse A-Train style. That happens
Yes!
at one point.
That was
Yeah.
so funny.
So what's happening in this episode is they're going back into so they're explaining who Furman is and his rise to the top, right? And so there's this basically Zoom character who's racing through the city. No one can stop him. Furman's getting a soda and he steps out into the street, and then the guy just collides with him, but Furman doesn't move because his power, his fans believe he stands firm. So when that guy hits him, he explodes, his soda spills, and he turns around and gets another one. It's beautiful. I immediately thought
That's what
this is
elevated
reverse
him.
A-Train.
Yep, reverse A-Train, 100%.
Yeah, so he can't bend, right? That's kind of his thing, is he has to stand tall because that's what is demanded of him as a hero, or what.
And you see that when he meets this little girl that he saved, and he can't bend down to get a scarf put on his neck. Like, he literally has a problem. And his main character his main nemesis is Wolf Girl, who our character is hunting to defeat because he can't beat her because she crawls into the sewers. And if you stand, you can't crawl.
And so it's rumored that like the secret to, whatever defeating him or getting, whatever, they got to get to his nemesis. And so his Nice, his agent, is like, hey, your task is basically go into these sewers and go get her. And on the way, he bumps into all these failed heroes who tried to get there. They kind of have like some fights and some cool moments.
Get stuck in pipes.
Yeah, get stuck in some pipes. Classic.
It's like a classic Mario moment.
And there is this one piece, this one line that is mentioned in the show that just stood out so hard for me. And it was, do you know what's more destructive than violence? Imagination. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's literally Nice's power, I think, is being able to envision the outcome, and then just like that becomes what happens. And I almost wonder if they're kind of planting seeds that Nice is going to be a problem because of how his imagination works.
I also think that there are some quirks that he's picking up because he is Nice now. For example, Nice is the perfect hero. If you notice at the beginning of the episode, he twists his mug to face forward, so the logo is facing outward and the handle's facing towards him. And there's some complaints from Moon in the previous episode about perfection, right, from the previous Nice. And I think that that's going to play a role too, is that it's not affecting just his ability to do superhero stuff, but it's affecting his ability to be himself.
Yeah, I could see like
So
he's getting a little more like neurotic, a little OCD.
Losing himself to the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, like and how much I think that the cool part that I feel like about this is how it's starting to give that commentary on how being somebody who's in the public eye you kind of become beholden to
Like your
your
facade.
followers, your facade.
Yeah.
And if you break that, like do you lose who you are, like, or do you have to be that person? Like it's an interesting.
I think
kind of
that's funny
paradigm.
because like I've seen celebrities talk about it. Like I remember after Will Smith did the slap, he had like a whole special where he talked about Mr. Fluffy, his like alter ego. Right? Like that was his alter ego that like helped him maintain his persona for the public eye, but it wasn't always the person who he wanted to be, right? But like there are these things that like that
Carrie.
Nice has to do to be a hero that isn't real.
Right. Absolutely. Later on in the episode, Wolf Girl starts painting Fern Man in a negative light. She's essentially distributing
Literally.
like comic books that just make him look like a bad guy, essentially, and just throwing it out in the air, propaganda style on the street. And it slowly starts kind of cracking away at the belief that this guy always stands firm, because now they're imagining him, wait, he's doing this evil thing. And so she's playing the long game of, cracking him down because she understands the system. Going down into the sewers to catch her was, believe it or not, a trap. Who could have thought that it would be a trap to go down there? So bombs were placed under the plaza where the giant Mr. Stando statue is standing, and it explodes and tips over, and Mr. Firmer's right there to catch it.
So I do want to point
moment.
out the statue is carved from a boulder that only Furman could move. Right? Like they had this whole conversation about he had to move the world's largest boulder to put it there, and then they carved his statue out of that boulder, which I thought was comical. Like it was just a little bit of comedy. Like only he could do this.
Yeah, absolutely. So it topples over, he catches it and saves the girl, mimicking his original kind of origin to becoming Mr. Stando. And Wolf Girl shows up and threatens to kill this girl, and basically like holds her over the edge.
Statue or this girl.
Yeah, it gives him the classic Green Goblin Spider-Man dilemma with the kid, the cart full of kids or the one you love. So that's kind of the thing we get here. And surprisingly, not really surprisingly, I think Nice shows up. Of course he does. He's our main hero. And so he helps out, and we finally get the truth of that Wolf Girl is this OG girl who kind of was saved the first time. So that reveal, I think, you could kind of see it a mile away, but it was still nice to get the payoff and to see Furman or whatever kind of realize, oh my gosh, what, this is all happening because I was beholden to this life, essentially.
And I like when they take a villain and they give them like a believable, like, okay, I'm trying to do this and I have reasons that I as a person like watching the show can relate to, being like, oh, you know what, like, would I want to try and break down that society, not to destroy society, but to make my hero, the person who I see is in pain, like to give them that respite.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, and then we get a flashback of Wolf Girl in this episode as well, and kind of shows that she became obsessed because, she got saved by him. So she's always drawing pictures of him. She's drawing, comic books or whatever. And people bully her because they're like, that's not what he's like. And
he doesn't bow down. He doesn't cry. He doesn't break down.
Yeah. And I guess it is kind of some commentary on like what it means to be like a man, right? Like there's a lot of the like toxic masculinity kind of discussion. This, I think, is kind of that, right? Like a man doesn't cry, a man never gets on his knees, like those kind of things. That kind of rings through here.
Well, he's inflexible, right? And like there's the whole bathroom scene where he can't bend his legs to go sit on a toilet, right? Like there's
where he sleeps standing up,
right? Like men don't flex. It's like, well, you kind of have to sometime. Like like poor guy.
Seriously.
So yeah, Firm's boots crack. The public perception is not holding up anymore. It cracks under. He's about to get crushed. Nice comes in and catches the statue and saves him. And Nice's agent happens to be live streaming it. Of course she does. This is VOT scenario here. They're going to capitalize on everything. But it works to his favor because now the public perception is that Nice is strong and Nice can do this. And so he gains some more will of the people. And because he was able to do this, he just essentially rises to number 10, knocking Mr. Firm out of place without even having to fight him. So
Well, and I like in that
solves his own problem.
sequence right there, right before it says he's number 10, it has Fern Man and Wolf Girl. Wolf Girl supporting Fern Man in that scene, and then it flashes to him getting number 10. Like, you should be proud that you knocked him out of the 10 seat now. And you really don't feel that way at the end. By the end of the episode, I don't feel that Fern Man really deserves, and our main character, Lin Ling, is still thinking about Moon as he walks away in this episode. He's thinking about the things that he's lost to being a hero, much like Furman did. So his character arc is moving a little bit faster than some of the other characters.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and then in the end, Furman is kind of a little bit relieved, I think, to be like, oh, I kind of have my life back in a way. Like I can do some of these things that I haven't been able to do in such a long time.
Very similar to Moon, right? That kind of
very
relief.
bittersweet. Absolutely. So that's the episode. That's what happens in the episode. I thought the animation was really great. It changed, I think 4 or 5 times throughout this episode, and each time that it did, it wasn't jarring. It seemed to fit the moment. Especially, I really liked the flashback scenes for Mr. Firm. Kind of painted him as like a Captain America-esque figure, which I thought was really cool.
Well, and the action sequence is done in 3D this time instead of the inverse, which is usually done in 2D. The past flashbacks were all done in 2D, which I also kind of brought that realism back to it, that because you don't remember everything as crisp, so it made more sense that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Anything else we want to talk about on To Be Hero X?
Yeah, actually, the episode ends with a late Moon being captured by the original host of the TV show. So like
or whatever.
The next episode, I have to tell you the truth down. So I was getting ready for our episode, and I accidentally clicked on episode 4 and watched that thinking it was episode 3.
No.
And so then I had to quickly watch all of episode 3 to get caught up. And so I know what's going on in the next episode, not because I skipped ahead, but because I clicked on the wrong episode.
You're just like,
I was so lost. I was like, gosh, this took a whole left turn. And so now I'm like, oh, the pieces all match.
There you go.
I don't think we've never done that. We've never watched the last episode of a season and then
gone back and watched the rest.
Great. Where's the rest?
Oh, dude, I'm telling you, Hidive has made me watch the same episode multiple times because it doesn't track your continue watching, right?
Nope.
And so I'm like, I think it was this one, and then I get like halfway through, I'm like, dang it, I just wasted 15 minutes. I already seen this.
My favorite, one of my favorite ones was the is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon? And I watched
that
it,
one.
but the one I watched was the very last episode of the first season, and I was like, dude, this is like off the chain. Like, I'm loving this. Like, I'm a sucker for those kind of like, I'm gonna throw myself at whatever, and I'm gonna
This like manly aspect of like, I'm gonna face whatever in front of me. I'm not backing down.
I'm not gonna back down.
Every season ends with that.
And you go back to the beginning and you're like, okay, like, how'd I get here? Like,
how does he go from being a wimp to that?
Yeah, a lot of stories do. They show you the end result first, so you know what is coming. That the show's going to build up to. So it's not all bad to do that, I guess.
That's true.
Especially with that one. That one's a good one to do that with.
Nice. That's been on my list for forever. I haven't watched it yet, but
if you want a weird watch order, I've got recommendations. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would say it's not, if you're looking for a fun story with a different world, like it's not the same. It's a dungeon crawler, but it's really good. It's a harem anime, but it's not overly top on the harem stuff, but it does have a little bit, right? But it's a good one. I liked it.
Solid. Should we jump into Sword of the Demon Hunter next?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right.
Since we talked about Hidive.
Yeah, exactly. That's where my brain was going. It's like, I already mentioned how much I dislike Hidive. So let's.
Now, Preston, I'm actually interested in kind of what you think, because I have been focusing in on the flowers, and I actually think this one spells it out pretty clearly. So what did you think about the Sword of the Demon Hunter? Since I've missed you.
I'm gonna be honest on this one. I haven't been able to watch it yet.
Okay, no. I'm gonna get you caught up then.
I've been doing dad things.
That's okay. I'm gonna get you caught up. So,
Dad life above
caught up.
anime. All.
where did
all
you
the
leave
time.
off?
I've watched the first two.
Okay, that's basically perfect. That's perfect. Okay,
That's where
so
we're at. That's where we're at.
episode 3 is not the strongest episode, and I think we're gonna see that theme with the other episodes we have for like Fire Force and a little bit even into Kowloon, because if you've watched episode 4's, there's payout. And I think especially with Sword of the Demon Hunter, there's payout in the next episode.
Yeah. So
It's like a slow build.
It's a setting base. It's 6 years
Okay.
after the
Okay.
initial incident, and he's sitting in a ramen shop, and that's basic. Like there's a slasher out on the streets cutting up people, and the body count doesn't match the missing person.
yeah, exactly. And so he kind of gets goaded into investigating this in a way, because he's like the server at the restaurant is like, what do you do for work? And he's like, I'm a demon hunter. And she's like, okay, sure you are.
All right.
And then she's like, since you're a demon hunter, you're obviously here investigating the murderer, right? And he's like, what?
I don't do people crime.
Yeah, I don't do people crime. And he's like, well, good for you. That's a rumor. Of course it is that it's a demon. So now he's hot on the trail.
So he goes hot on the
Goblin
trail,
Slayer.
and he's just basically walking around the area where he thinks it's going to happen, and then he gets there and he hears a scream, so he does the classic
Yeah.
run to the scream.
And it's a female scream,
Yeah,
which I think is important to note.
yeah. So then when he gets to the crime scene, bunch of male bodies dead, and a slasher that's invisible comes out of nowhere and starts attacking him. No female body to be found. Now, eventually, we find out that the slasher who's invisible is a demon, but it is not the person killing the other people.
Yeah. And I think, too, it's cool in this episode because Jinya rips out his demon arm, which he hasn't done since, like, kind of the beginning. So
Mhm.
now he flexes out his big demon arm. And I think it's because he feels like safe. It's really late at night. There's not a lot of people around. No one's out to judge him. So he goes kind of full out here.
And then the other demon actually surrenders, saying, "Hey, I didn't kill these people." And so they actually have a drink. They sit down, and this invisible demon, or this demon who can turn invisible, a higher demon, he gives his whole backstory about who he is, why he's hunting down this other demon. We find out that his wife was attacked by this demon. Is that right?
Yeah, she was abducted, and then they found her later, and she had signs of assault. So not
Yeah.
a good way to go.
Yeah, and so this is like one of those ways that demons breed that we talked about in the previous episode. And so I feel like this demon's looking for revenge on his wife, and he's living in two worlds, and I think that's really important for this episode. So Jinya is there investigating the murders. He's a demon hunter. He's also a demon, also living in two worlds. This demon tried to live as a demon with a wife, live in two worlds.
He tried to live, the human life.
Tried to
He tried-
skirt.
And then finally, this is the worst part. The episode really just ends with this conversation, and it ends with the main character Jinya talking to the server girl who serves him ramen at the beginning.
Yeah. Oofa. She's like out late at night while this killer is on the loose, which obviously is making Jinya be like, what is going on? Why? Like, this is not safe. So he goes to confront her, and then they have this conversation that you were alluding to earlier about the flowers. So
Yeah, and I actually
from there.
I wrote it. I wrote the quote down, and so she
Nice.
begins to describe this flower called the snow willow, and he's like, I don't want to give a crap about flowers, but once she starts explaining it, it makes way more sense. And again, I think each episode covers a topic, like I told you last time, and this one covers duality. And the snow willow is a cherry blossom species. It's not a willow tree. But cherry blossom, so this is what Jinya thinks. He says cherry blossoms that imitate willows, yet aren't willows despite how they appear. In the end, it can't be either of them. And I think that's Jinya's
he's
story.
totally, it's totally
Yeah.
internal reflection on himself.
Yeah.
But one thing I love is then the girl points out, and she's like, yeah, but it blooms all the same anyways, and it's still really pretty.
Yeah, we
Which is
like it because it's so
life is
pretty.
still worth living, and people can still enjoy your presence and be around you.
And I didn't add that because I was like, I'm hoping one of them catches. So I love that you had that
I love
just in the
I love
pocket
that.
there.
But I think, though, to go along with it, I think not only is it Jinya's story, I think, this is my prediction because I haven't watched episode 4 yet, I think because of where we end this episode, they're on night 2 of not being able to find this killer, not a soul in sight. I think the duality is speaking of the demon he's been befriending, and he's actually the killer, just trying to like now hide. And it's this duality of his demon side and his human side.
I don't know how you could stop watching after that, because I kept going, and I cannot wait for next week to talk to you about how I feel about the next episode, because I am telling you, episode 4 is payout. Episode 4 is payout.
Okay.
So
Cool.
you will
I'm
enjoy
excited for it
episode
then.
4. It's a good Monster of the Week episode. I think you'll like episode 4.
Yeah, I will say, as far as like of all the shows we're watching this season, this one is probably the slowest paced.
Mm-hmm.
It's maybe like it visually, it looks good, like it sounds good, all these things. But I think like of all the shows I'm watching, this is the one that's like, I'm kind of like, it's chugging a little bit. I'm like, okay, come on, let's get to it. It is a nice, calm show if you're watching it like that. But I think when you're watching it right after watching like a Fire Force or something, it's like, wow, this thing is slow compared to some of these other shows.
Which, can we go to Fire Force? Because,
Right,
but
so
I
Fire
love
Force
Fire
episode
Force.
3. Right, this one's called The Incarnation of Flame, which is just a sweet title. So Obi is trapped, right? That's where we left off.
Yep.
Shinya and Joker are careening down that tunnel, and they arrive just before Hinawa and the others, and a battle begins. And that's essentially this episode. But obviously there's a lot more to it. So let's dive in. The Joker's, this is my first note I wrote, by the way. The Joker's outfit is iconic. This is anime's top fashion of the season. He's just running around in a romper that says Joe. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell's going on?
I love it.
But I mean, I like when he gets to when they get to Obi and it's just Burns. I cannot wait to see Burns go toe to toe, because we haven't really seen Burns like let loose. Right?
Yeah.
Like he's
It's
like
that
always
quiet storm.
Mhm.
It's just waiting to erupt, and you're like, "What's gonna happen?" Like,
Yeah. And I was disappointed by the amount of action between our main characters and Joker and Burns. I feel like Joker's just waiting for his moment, though.
Yeah. Well, and right, almost like right off the bat, he kind of like does this move that kind of like stun locks him essentially from doing anything else. And they're kind of like, I don't know if we can do this. And then it just cuts to a flashback of Burns. And he's talking about like, this is how I know I'm right. I saw the god. I saw this Adela or whatever. And one thing I noticed is while he's getting this information, his eye starts burning away as he's gaining information. I'm like, that is so, like, that's Odin, right? It's the price of information is the eye. I'm like, that is so cool. He's the Odin of the show. I thought that was really cool.
I think like there's so much going on in the background with the evangelists and like with collecting information, and there's like hints about what she's doing in the basement while this whole Burns fight's going on, because she's crying as she's collecting thoughts from the surrounding area. You also have Gold walking around still and giving out pieces of information, and this is all setting building. That's why I think that the payout comes even more in episode 4.
Yeah, Hamiya is gathering the collective unconscious is what they say. And when I hear that, I'm like, what the hell does that mean? And she's sitting there with the crown on, just like crying. I'm like, is this like imitating like the atonement, right? Like, because they have all this kind of back and forth with Christianity and Catholicism. I'm like, is this supposed to be like the taking on the sins of the world kind of thing? Like, is this like some sort of mimicry of that?
Is she going to
things.
cleanse? Is she going to like cleanse? Is she going to? And when we talk about cleansing all the people, is it physical? Is it literal? Is it metaphorical?
Interesting.
Because she's taking in this
flame clearly, right?
yeah, but like she's like, what is she hearing? Like, save me, and like a bunch of other things. Like she's hearing things that are kind of sad. Like, so I wonder why she's in so much pain. And so like I'm wondering if there's going to be a twist. And again, I have refused to read Fire Force because I love the animation. Yeah. I have put it on my to be never read because I'm going to watch the whole thing.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, Hinawa and the others show up, and the 8th is sort of kind of timid. Like they aren't really used to being the rebels, right? But Hinawa riles him up. He gives him this speech, is like, stand up on the truck. There's no rules anymore. Like, the gloves are off. We're going in. We got to save our friends. And so they get all like rah rah. The
girls are in the back going, you shouldn't stand. It's not safe. Yeah. And right then in that scene, like just a couple frames before, they had hit a bump and Arthur had flown out, and you just see his leg just sticking out of the frame. And you don't see Arthur fly out. You just see his leg as the truck drives away. And if you're not paying attention, you'll miss it. It's so great. Because I'm like, he didn't even stand up. He just fell out. And there goes Arthur. There goes one of their strongest characters. But when they arrive at the compound, after he's like, don't sit down in the truck, he enters the best way. Like, so Gold is walking around the compound, is like, we got to be prepared. We got to get to this location. They're going to come through somewhere. And then he puts a grenade, a rocket launcher, blows a hole through the wall right next to her. It was like, and they were like, great call.
Good job.
Yeah, and then when they break through, they don't have Shinra, who's usually kind of their like front man, and they don't have because he fell off the back. The other guy fell off the back of the truck. Not Arthur either. So they're kind of like, our dynamic is totally screwed right now. We don't know how to fight without our front man. But then it pays off pretty epically because Tamaki, who also trained with Arthur and Shinra, although not in the same way, right? She's chasing the twins all around the rooftops. She's like leveled up now, and we get to see her kind of take on the frontman role. And it's pretty cool. Like, she's a lot quicker. She's a lot faster, harder hitting than she was previously. And a lot more confident.
The fight with Gold doesn't finish in that moment. We still don't know what Gold's power is, but nothing's really sticking to Gold. Like, not a lot is hurting Gold. And Gold seems to be almost like this... obviously she's talking about money, and like, I love her commentary. Like, cha-ching is her catchphrase, and like, I'm like,
the leg's so deadpan too.
Yeah,
it's like, cha-ching, you're dead.
And I think that's some of the most enjoyable parts of it. Cha-ching, and like, I really do love it. And I think this episode really set us up for episode 4. That's what I really think about most of these episodes. Is episode 4 is the better episode.
I love it when they do that. When they at the very beginning, we're planting seeds, and then you have that payoff versus, hey, we're gonna say we're ramping up and we're just gonna go to the moon. Sometimes that can pay off, but I like the more Sanderson-esque approach where like everything just culminates and it just
build towards that avalanche.
Well, because when Arthur falls off the truck, you just saved. That's a power up. Because Arthur just did the training with Shinra, and Arthur's going to show up after everyone's worn themselves out. And that's coming.
It's totally the mangaka being like, hey guys, we're going to get this fight to a real dark place. And don't worry, the knight in shining armor will save the day, because that's who Arthur is. And this is the final season. Yeah. We're going to let him be the knight in shining armor, and it's going to be sick. And I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. So I think like, if you took anything away from the episodes that we're talking about today, just watch the next episode too, because you should be sitting down for at least an hour instead of 30 minutes.
Yeah. This week, it felt like you could watch Tandem and go 2 easily.
Yeah.
Like 100%. They almost felt like they were meant to be viewed that way, 3s and 4s this week.
Yeah. Which leads us, I guess, to our last one, right?
Yeah, Kowloon. We're ending on Kowloon. Generic romance. Episode 3. I don't think these episodes have names, or I didn't write it down. It's just a numbered episode, or I didn't write down the name.
It's just episode 3.
There you go.
And the synopsis is: Kudo looks for Gwen to know Abel. Meanwhile, a masked man tells Reiko she and Kujare B are different people.
Yeah, that's a pretty big reveal.
Yeah,
Kujare B.
So I think this episode, again, it goes with that theme of like setting. Like, they're literally building the narrative, and the conflict is rising, but it is not something that like, you're getting background with Kudo and the original Reiko, and you're looking at it and you're like, okay, what is going on in this original relationship? And you get a little bit more understanding about how he feels about the whole situation, which that's what I really liked about this episode.
So as we start off with a flashback to Kudo and the OG Kujirai. And he gets heat stroke much in the same way she did in that first episode. It is so many parallels in the show. And they go to her apartment essentially, and he's kind of looking around and he's like, man, this is kind of like sanitized, like not even a stuffy's on the wall. Like, there's nothing, like, she just lives here and that's it.
This is a girl's room?
Yeah, that's kind of his thought at first. And also he's like, man, she's really forward. She just let me in and told me to drink fridge from her water and sit on her bed. Like, what's going on?
Also, do you get that watermelon cigarette combination?
Yeah, that hits up again. And then we get the line. I think we've hit on this line a couple of times, and I think it's basically in every episode. But it's the nostalgia isn't about the past or memories; it's the feeling of locking something in your heart. So therefore, nostalgia is the same thing as love. Like we get that kind of theme yet again.
Yeah.
Then we flash forward to today, and that creepo dude from the pharmacy shows up
Plastic
at their
surgeon.
office. And he's wanting to open a new clinic, so he says, so he needs their services to find a place. But really, he's kind of just there to creep on Kujirai.
He's creepy. Creeper.
And I love this episode for just Kudo's reactions alone. Like he gets like real defensive and like protective, which just like you're like, you know, he's a good guy and you know that he actually cares about her. And that kind of is really obvious in this episode. And then the creepy guy just goes full creepo and gives a snaky French kiss.
With his forked tongue. Yeah.
With his forked tongue. And then the best thing of the episode, I think, is the Kudo freaks out and the subtitles are just like somebody mashing the keyboard.
It's QW, it's QWERTY, right? Like it's just the keys in order. And I just thought that I paused it right there and I just had it, my wife and me giggled for a minute. That was a good moment. And I love that. We were oddly enough doing laundry and we were just both sitting there going, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
So this is your laundry show. Mine's Konosuba. So.
But so like I think I really like the part though she brings him a sunflower as is it reconciliation kind of gift?
It's like a thank you for he helps her buy a fish tank on his day off and she can't carry it because it's pretty big, so he carries it to her room. And then it sort of parallels back to the first interaction when he went into her room, but this time when he goes in, she has that plushie like on her dresser, and he's like, okay, so it's a little bit different. He opens the fridge, the water's not there, but there's a slice of watermelon. So it's like this weird, like parallel dimension of like this person is almost the same, but just enough different that it's weird.
But also I think watching the first three, he does like her, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that she thinks that he likes her for the version of her that doesn't exist anymore. But he actually, I think, likes the version of her that does exist right now.
Yeah,
and I think
he's kind of got this mindset of like, I like this person in all variations, in all forms that they can come in. Like this is like my person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the sentiment.
It's cool how it kind of goes, like to me, seeing how like the neuroscience of it, right? Where we're talking about how when you imprint on somebody or you have that person a part of your life and you start to take on certain characteristics, certain phrases they say or like whatever, and like just seeing those kind of small things. It's interesting.
I didn't think about that.
It's interesting to start to see those kind of like those little small
because like the way I say something or the way my wife says something will influence the way I say it. I spent all my time with her. They literally are sitting next to each other all day. They're eating lunch together. This is like not just nostalgia as a form of like memory, but almost as an imprint on you. Like when he wakes up and gives her the kiss in the first episode or first or second episode, right? Isn't that just like a physical knee-jerk reaction for him? Right?
Yeah, because he's just like waking up to her again, and then it's like, oh wait. Like,
but I like the way it's playing with my psyche a little bit because I get mad at him at first, and then I understand him later, which is kind of frustrating.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
When it's that whole thing too, like trying to think, okay, how much of me is truly me, or is it the influence of the people around me and the people that I love, or the people that you're close to or around? It's cool. It's interesting.
It's that classic, like, am I a product of my environment, or is my environment a product of me?
Exactly.
Right?
Which I think that kind of goes to the city of Kowloon, right? Like this city,
yes,
it has an effect on the people who live there because people don't seem to want to leave. And like
the city is a character in and of itself in the show, and I love shows that nail setting as a character. Like it's such a weird line to walk, but when it's done right, you get like Kowloon, or you get like Batman, right? Like Gotham is a character in and of itself.
Because I was thinking about like Metropolis versus Gotham, and I was like, well, Metropolis isn't a character like Gotham is a character. Like Gotham is its own character, and I think Kowloon has a character to it that we, the viewers, will notice when something changes.
Well, in this episode, there's one point he's walking and there's a sign that says dead end, and he goes, dead end in Kowloon, what the heck? And then just like keeps going on, and I was like, It's that
Like
same thing. You're like,
foreshadowing,
this
it's like-
character changed. Like, what the heck?
Well, and
It's
I
not
think
supposed
that's
to do that.
that's the mystery. I think Kudo remembers a Kowloon that is not there, and everyone else is living in a different Kowloon.
Maybe he's the implant in
Well,
this
because
weird world.
who's he looking for when he runs into the
Ooh.
dead end? He's looking for Gwen's apartment. If
Yeah.
you don't remember who Gwen is, he's the
tea house server, right?
Yeah, he's the
Yeah,
tea house server, and you'll notice the character who gives Reiko the coin is also the tea house server in a mask. Like he's got the same green hair. It's just down instead of in a ponytail this time. So for me, I'm really wondering like is Gwen walking around just being a creep, or like is there something more going on here, right? And obviously
When's the
Snake
shoe
Man
gonna
knows
drop?
way more,
Yeah.
right?
So back to where you were talking about earlier, she gives him a sunflower for helping out with this, right?
Mhm.
And then they kind of move to this next sequence where they're trying to help Zhao Hei find an apartment. And Kujirai takes her to all these like big ones because she's thinking, oh, she wants bigger, she wants a view, all these different things. And Kudo's like, no, she just wants a long hallway for all of her clothes. And basically that's what they end up in. And it's just this like he knows how to read people really well is kind of what I get from this. Like he understands people a layer deeper, one step quicker, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And then when they go to the rooftop just to kind of like have like a smoke break or whatever, there's a field of sunflowers.
Yeah.
I think that was my favorite scene, honestly. It's just like so visually striking, but also it's like the I only have eyes for you flower is what we find out that it means.
Yeah. So she gives him the flower as a thank you, and then she comes in this
Zhao
client.
Hei.
Zhao Hei, she comes in and it's like, oh, that flower means I only have eyes for you. And then there's thousands on this rooftop. Inside the middle of the building where it should be like windows or like something to view out. Just staring straight up at all the characters, and so it's like a very romantic thing.
Yeah, it's super romantic thing. But then she kind of like sours it on herself and is like, "Oh, he's clearly only has eyes for Kujirai A," and it kind of cuts over and they're looking in the flowers and there's like her silhouette kind of just in the sunflowers, which I thought was just like such a visually striking like art moment. I think that's one of the reasons I love this show so much. Is like there's certain moments you could just pause and be like, frame it. That's like put it on my wall. That's art right there.
Yeah.
Like just it has those good moments. So yeah, we find out the masked man is working with the creepy doc, right? They're like lovey-dovey too in this episode, or like at least they're nudie. And we get to see a giant snake tattoo on his back. Like it's just revealing more about this character. He's a snake through and through, right?
Yeah, so the coin scene happens. You get a little bit of background that the snake dude is an heir to an empire. He's not just a genius. And he like romance comes in many forms in this, right? And then Kudo is still looking for Gwen's apartment even after the reveal that Gwen and Snake Guy know each other, right? And Gwen meets Kujiraya and tells her like the person you're looking for is no longer on this world. It doesn't exist here.
He delivers it so like his voice sounds kind, but the words he says are so mean. He says, "You're a stranger trampling on the memory of my old friend."
Yeah,
and then basically reveals you aren't the same person.
but like knowing what's coming a little bit, that I think that what's even more important is that phrase he says, "I don't know you at all," right? The Kujiraya that I once knew no longer exists in this world, and no one who talks about Kujiraya in the future or now says it any differently. No longer exists in this world. It's just like the nostalgia line. I think there's a theme that's going to run through this whole thing.
Absolutely, yeah, and we're already seeing it. Like it's 4 episodes in, and it's just like continually bringing up this theme in new ways with new visuals, with new situations. But it's very solid script, I would say, through
Is
and
it like
through.
a ship of Theseus type idea where like after you replace so many parts of it, is it still the same thing, right?
Right. Yeah,
I wonder if
I think
that's
that
what
might
it's
be because
what
we
it's
have all
alluding
these
to, like
references to plastic surgery and things like that, and all this cosmetic work. And I think you're kind of on the right
Well,
track
and
with
they
that.
talk about Kowloon being a rebuilt city. That like it this is the second walled Kowloon. So I think like you're gonna run into some things like that where like maybe it is that ship of Theseus. Well, and
Yeah.
if this isn't me, if she isn't Kujiraya, then who is Kujiraya? And
Yeah.
like
Was that?
if you have the ship is there and the memories are different, is it still the same ship? If the pilot is different,
Makes
right?
the ship the ship.
Yeah, exactly. And we get to see this thing with Kujirai where in I think it's like the second episode she's trying to be like the original, but in this episode she's really clinging to what differentiates her from the original. So she's kind of matured and already sort of had this growth just in these 4 episodes of like, no, I need to cling to what makes me me. And then kind of in that same moment, Kudo's kind of saying he has feelings for her. And she's like, are you sure? Is this just nostalgia talking? Are you having misplaced feelings? And just because I look the certain way, you're thinking that, but like you don't actually like me for me.
Is it the idea of me or actually me?
Yes.
So then, can you just tell me what you think? So there's that scene after she meets Gwen, and Kudo is sitting with his head on his desk, and the sunflower is drooped over. The water is all empty from the sunflower, and then he leans over and says, "I don't like you." Right? Like this half asleep Kudo's a dick.
Yeah, and it's these like mixed signals that are
Mhm.
just like driving her insane at this point. And yeah, when he does kind of confess like I do have feelings for you, whatever, she basically, like I said, she says like I think it's just an illusion or whatever, and then she blacks out. And what's crazy is that's where the episode ends, but right before she blacks out, I don't know if you guys noticed, like it does like a TV like glitch effect, like a screen cutting out.
Mhm.
I'm like,
Oh.
is she like a robot now? Like I was thinking clone, but now I'm thinking like android. Like what is going on? Like her data
Matrix,
processing just
she's been
yeah, she got chipped out or something. Like what is
Well,
going
WandaVision.
on?
Yeah, and like she's like sitting here and he's like, your feelings for me are an illusion. And then she's feeling all these emotions, and then all of a sudden she just glitches out. Like that's so confusing. Now, I did just quickly look at the scene that you're talking about. There are animes like that where the main character kind of blurs out that way. So it could just be a blur out effect. But I it's weird that she's feeling these emotions and they're not real, but they're real to her, and he's telling her that they're fake. What does he know that we all need to know, right?
Well, and like we know it's so obvious he does like her. And like he half the time admits it, half the time backtracks on himself. And I think it's just because he feels guilty, right? For like cheating on the original or like betraying the original or something. But it's like,
and maybe it's like Gwen, like it feels like a trampling on a memory of someone you cared about.
yeah.
But like at the same time, Kudo's the one who keeps putting himself in this position. He doesn't have to keep doing this.
You know what? It just dawned on me. Kowloon Generic Romance is basically just a Black Mirror episode, but a really long one.
Yeah. I
It's
could
Black
see that.
Mirror, the anime.
Well, because I end every episode going, "Oh my, I don't know what did I just watch?
What just
Like,
happened? Like
what just happened?" And I spend the next like couple days going, "Oh, I see that now everywhere."
yeah.
Yep. And
Then
then
once
like
you
the
see it, you
next
get into
episode
it.
you watch, you pick up on a completely different thing each episode, which is I think cool because there's so many ways that they're kind of hammering on the same message just from so many different angles, and so you kind of click with it however, whether it's a visual way or whether it's the way that a scene was edited or whether, there's some foreshadowing or whatever. There's so many different ways to kind of click with the message of the show, and I think that's what's so
And isn't
good
that what
about
makes
it.
like
It's a
fearing so
rewatchability.
good? Like,
Yeah.
like that same thing. They take that concept of death and they just examine it from every angle.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and I feel like I'm getting the same thing from this, just one less action scene.
Yeah.
But I still enjoy every scene in Kowloon. Like I watch it and I go, I want more every single time. So I think out of our picks, this is a strong one for like if you want something to watch that is like a movie, this one's great.
Yeah, I go back and forth so far this season. I mean, I know we're only, 3 episodes in, so it's really hard to make a judgment call. But so far at this point, I go back and forth between this one being my favorite and To Be Hero X being my favorite for different reasons. Like, I think this one's just a little, like, Kowloon is a little deeper, a little more, like, mature, kind of more the pacing and story that I'm interested in. But then To Be Hero X just comes out and just is like flashy and cool and exciting, and like it's hard not to just like that
Impact
for what it
frames
is.
when he's like, and you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's hitting on the like My Hero Academia vibes, it's hitting on the boys vibes, it's like scratching all these really good itches. So I kind of waffle back and forth, but Kowloon, I'm hoping by the end of this thing will be my favorite of the season, but we'll see. So like
I wonder how
so
what
early
its
to tell.
rewatchability will be, because kind of like you're saying, like as you watch it and you notice more things and you're like, oh okay, like there's this. There's very few animes I feel like that for me have one where I want to watch it again and be like, okay, oh, I didn't notice that before. Like, oh, there's this other like small thing. And so when they do that kind of stuff in anime, I feel like that makes it really cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think like watching Fire Force, once I'm done watching it, I'm not always going to go back and watch every episode. But like Kowloon, I've caught myself going, I need to rewind this and watch that scene again.
Just happened. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It does hit on that that like scratching your brain and making you think of things abnormally from normal anime, right?
Mhm.
Like you're so used to just hero does this bad thing happens, hero's not going to win, all of a sudden he wins because of his training or whatever. Like that's the formula and we love it. But this is like so different, so unique. I don't really know of another show that's kind of taking a romance, spinning it on its head, throwing sci-fi elements in there, putting a mystery package on top of all of that, and then just throwing it at you with this crazy, like this old school animation. I would say like it's very like 90s animation.
I agree with that.
So, and I think like when I'm like, when you're saying that, my brain is just going through the archives and it's like, okay, so what does fit with this? And I'm like, well, that formulaic thing, that's your Dragon Ball Z, you know, training montage before each major fight. That's the time, that's the time capsule. That's Goku on the spaceship with the gravity increase, right? But then like I'm thinking back into the archives and I'm like, you know, Evangelion, that's the only one I can think of that really packages a story in a way that I have to focus on it and I have to look for messaging, and it's got a nice slow pace to it, and I think Kowloon might kind of take some inspiration from things like that, where the story is just being told the way it needs to be told at the speed it needs to be told.
Right.
So
yeah, absolutely. It's ballsy in that way. Like it's weird to say that about just like this calm like romance mystery show, but like it is like anime doesn't do that. They don't take a risk in being like, hey, we're going to be telling the story in the format and the speed that works for the story. Like
I want to know
like
what's up
it or
with the
not.
fish, because the fish has got to mean something. It
Well, it's
shows up
been
in the end
every
credit.
episode.
She names it. She
Yeah,
names
she names it
it.
Success, right? That's such a weird
And
name. Is that a
it's-
mistranslation or is that just like a weird name for
Is
fish?
there like another word for success or like another meaning for it in Japanese? Like
either in Japanese or Chinese, because Kowloon is technically China, right? I don't know.
I don't speak Chinese, so I'm not going to butcher any. I don't know why I even bother just looking up. Like I'm not going to butcher that.
Eligibility. Those are some.
Yeah,
Like I don't think it's a
It'll pay
mistranslation. I don't think. I think
so.
there'll be
It
tail
seems
later.
way too like purposeful because that name just like sticks out. Like
It
they
feels-
want you to notice that.
It feels like Xanathar from Dungeons and Dragons. Like you see the goldfish and you're like, wait, is that what I think it is? And yeah, like
Absolutely. So we'll see. Lots more to come with Kowloon. I hope it just keeps us on the edge of our seats until the end of the season. Honestly, I hope it doesn't like reveal too much too quickly and then just kind of peter out. Like I really hope it maintains this aloofness that it's maintained so far. So anyways, that's our
Right.
discussion on this week. I'm excited to see what's coming up in episode 4. I think there's, like Tyler mentioned, tons of payoff in store for us. So next week's discussion should be really, really cool. If you haven't already, give us a like, a subscribe. We're on all of the platforms, anywhere you can get a podcast. So YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you're listening, just give us a thumbs up, a 5-star, whatever. Tell your friends. And we are so grateful for you watching. Until next time, I'm Dallin. We've got Tyler and Preston, and we'll see you next week.
Good night.